I was lucky enough to get an Xbox Series X for free. Shout out my mom. She won a raffle at her work and she ended up getting the Xbox Series X and she gave it to me. Shout out my mom. That was really nice of her. Unfortunately, I got to use this thing. And I will say it really surprised me.
You do seriously surprise me.
Thank you, Chef. Give it all I got. Give you 110.
You surprise me to how shit you are.
Oof. I'm gonna speak some truth about the Xbox Series X because I think it needs to be said. There's no cope with me buying it. Like, you know, I didn't spend like $500 on this thing, and I'm coping that this thing is amazing. After using this, I wish I had a PS5. And this is from someone who has owned every single Xbox. So my first ever gaming console as a kid was the original Xbox. I was 4 years old. I got Halo 1 as my first ever game. Yeah, that's right. 4-year-old me playing a shooter. And then Halo 2, one of my favorite games of all time. Top 5. And then the Xbox 360 in its prime. I was the biggest Xbox fanboy. If you had a PlayStation, I was making fun of you. Then the Xbox One happened, and y'all know how that went. They tried to push Kinect. They tried to push the all-in-one entertainment system, and then DRM. And then PlayStation 4 rose up, and it's never looked back since. And Xbox has been struggling. Even recently in 2023, PS5 sold 22.5 million and Xbox sold 7.5. So basically a 3-to-1 ratio. So this thing is getting whooped. It's like an anime when the sensei is whooping the shit out of their student. That's what the PlayStation is doing. Even with the #1 feature of the Xbox, the Game Pass, I do not think it's worth it because of PS5's PlayStation Plus Premium, which we'll get and we'll talk about that. But what I want to say right now, if you have a PC, this thing is useless. I have a PC that I use every single day. That's where I play my games. It's my daily driver. And I have Game Pass on PC. So I pretty much have every single game that's already on the Xbox. Aside from like a few games that are sports games, which I play. If you're like a couch gamer or something, right? Just get the PS5. What is this thing for? I'm genuinely curious because if you want to watch movies and stuff on this or like stream Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon, Hulu, whatever you use, there's a Chromecast, which literally does everything. Oh, the Xbox Series X has better specs. It's not that big. And in some games, the PS5 has even outperformed the Xbox Series X because apparently game developers like the hardware better on the PlayStation 5 than the Series X. I do not know why, but technically the Xbox does have more power. But this isn't like the Xbox One and PS4 where the PS4 was consistently doing like 1080p, 900p at times, whereas the Xbox One was like 900p to 720p sometimes. Whereas these, they're basically gonna hit 4K 30 or like 1440p. Like they're always gonna run at the same frame rates at like the same resolution. And even if they do dynamic scaling, it is very minimal, especially in like 1440p. And I think they're both $500 in the US. I'm not too sure. I know in Canada, this went for like $640. In the US, it goes for $500, $649 if you're in Canada like me. And I think the PlayStation is the same price. I think it's $500. And I used to have the Series S, and I can definitely recommend that one, especially if you're just a casual gamer, because it's a lot cheaper. And I would assume you don't know much about like performance or like resolution. Those have the minimum requirements for the next gen game, making this console useless. Not to say that there's nothing like good about this console, because there are a couple things. So let's talk about it, right? We can finally talk about the build. It looks like a fridge, but it's a cute fridge. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take up too much space. It sits right beside my PC. It's a little heavy. I would say it's like 15 to 20 pounds. That's just my brain doing brain math. Of course, we got the disc, non-removable. That thing is in there. And then we got a USB port at the bottom. And then we have this to connect your controller. And then we have the power cord, the HDMI out, external drive if you wanted to add an extra slot for a storage expansion, and then the Ethernet cable and another 2 USB-A ports. Pretty good cooling, I would say. This thing does not run loud. The fans are really quiet. I have played a lot of games and I have not noticed the sound once, so that is a really good plus. I thought the top was RGB green. It's not, it's just paint. I'm stupid. You know, it's ventilated well. As for the specs, if y'all are curious, I actually do not know. So we're gonna Google this. The processor is an 8-core AMD Ryzen Zen 2 architecture CPU, and it runs at 3.8 gigahertz. So pretty fast clock speeds. That's just pretty standard. I was looking around and they said that's like a Ryzen 7 3700X, but that's what the streets were saying. I'm gonna let the streets cook. 2 generations ago, maybe 3. It's still decent, you know what I'm saying? I would say for its time it's good, but obviously 4 years down the line, it's getting a little outdated. But for a console, I still think it's going to be just fine. And then for the graphics card, it's an AMD Navi RDNA 2 family GPU, 12 teraflops. What the streets are saying is it's a 3060 Ti. Honestly, I would say it's more of a 1440p, 1080p type system. That's going to allow for 4K gaming for certain games at low frame rates. Obviously, you're not getting Starfield at 4K 60 FPS. That's just not gonna happen. Again, the RAM and the GPU memory, they're all pretty much together. So that 16 gigabytes, like I said, the 10 is allocated to the GPU, and then the 6 is allocated to the rest of the system. And then the storage is a 1 terabyte NVMe. This is gonna allow you to do quick resume. Quick resume is actually a really dope feature. So I don't know if PS5 actually has this. So basically, you start where you left off. Say you're playing a single player game. Don't try this in multiplayer. You will be kicked out. But I was playing like UFC 4. And then, you know, I was doing the My Career mode. And then I just exited. I went on to MLB. And I was playing MLB for a little bit. Like an hour later, I switched back to UFC. And I'm back where I left off. This does not just work while the console is on. If you turn it off, the next day you wake up, you'll pick up right where you left off, which I think is a really cool feature. Now, again, this thing does not have exclusives. All right, this buddy right here got no exclusives. Microsoft said, you know what? We can't make good games, so why don't we just buy the game? We'll buy Bethesda. We'll buy Activision. We'll buy every single studio so that we don't have to make games anymore. We're still going to release them on PlayStation. So it's not even exclusive. And it's, even though we're going to release it on PlayStation and PC still. So don't buy our, I'm telling y'all, it's a confusing Let's talk about the main thing that people would have bought it for in the first place, which honestly, I think it's not much of a like a must buy factor considering the competition, right? Game Pass was what was going to carry this console because, oh, you don't have to pay $60 or in my case, literally $100 for a game anymore. You can just wait till it gets on Game Pass, or sometimes it's day one and you can play it on there for what, like $10 a month, or in my case, $20 because I have the PC version and the Xbox. So Ultimate costs $20. You got some good games. So I just wanted to show like Game Pass games. As y'all seen, we got Power World. So I'm just gonna count like big games. Now I haven't played every single game, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you have Assassin's Creed Origins, you have Valhalla, which just came out like I think last year. So those are already like 200 hours worth of gameplay right there. You know, you get the Battlefield series because it comes with EA Plus. I'm just scrolling through really fast. I'm sorry if I missed some like big games. Dead Space, this is the remastered version. It's a really good game. You get definitely That's a mixed bag. You get the Dishonored series, you get Doom Eternal, which is nice. Those are really good games. We keep scrolling. You get Far Cry 5, Far Cry 6, again, more Ubisoft games if you are into that. You get Halo Infinite. You get Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I think is a pretty good game. You get Lies of P, one of the better Dark Souls like games. You get Like a Dragon I'm gonna pronounce that wrong, but Ishin and Like a Dragon Gaiden. Get the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. You get MLB The Show 23, which I've been playing. You get Monster Hunter Rise, I think is a pretty good Monster Hunter game. A big playlist. You get Payday 3, disappointing to be honest. You get Prey, which I think is an underrated game. You get Remnant 2, which just came out like 3 months ago and is a really good game. You also get RoboQuest. I love RoboQuest. Starfield, which again, kind of mid. Not me giving my opinions. The Outer Worlds, I think this is a great game. So yeah, you get a lot of pretty good games. You get the Wolfenstein series. So if you think about it, right, this is what, like $10 to $20 for pretty much thousands of hours. And you get the Yakuza series as well. But yeah, like thousands of hours for $10 a month. This is all the notable PlayStation Plus premium games. I think this goes for $19.99 a month, $20 a month, and this is the list I have. So I might have missed some triple A's, but listen, you get more Assassin's Creed games besides Valhalla, right? You don't get Valhalla, but you get pretty much every Assassin's Creed game that came out prior. You get Bloodborne, which was one of the best Dark Soul-like games. You get Days Gone, you get Death Stranding, Walking Simulator. You get the Doom series on Xbox as well. You get Disco Elysium, which is a great game. You get Demon's Souls. You get the Dragon Ball games, Fighters, Kakarot, and Xenoverse. You get Fallout 4, 76. We don't talk about that. We get Far Cry 6, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Horizon series, Infamous series, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Miles Morales, RE2 and 7, Returnal, Skyrim, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, Uncharted series, Wolfenstein series. Like a lot of the big games are on PlayStation as well. And some are even missing on Xbox Game Pass. But I think you get Resident Evil as well. Yeah, you get RE2 as well. Sorry, my bad. But you get some of their big AAA games. And of course, I love the backwards compatibility option. You get to play Xbox One, Xbox 360, and the original Xbox games that were like imported by Microsoft, which is really great. Another amazing thing is you get to use the Series 2 controller or pretty much any Xbox One controller on your Series X. Maybe I'd like to see an innovation in the next generation of Xbox because the PlayStation did an amazing job at their PlayStation controller going from the PS4 to the PS5. The PS5 controller, which I have, is honestly one of the best controllers I think I've ever used. It is a really cool idea. They tried to innovate with the Rumble, even though I don't really care about that, but I love the design and the look of it, and I think Xbox should try and innovate with that the next time they do a new controller. That is pretty much my Xbox review. Again, I'm just disappointed. I haven't been an Xbox fan since the Xbox One, and especially now, there's literally no point in getting the Series X when the PlayStation 5 is right there. They're basically offering Game Pass just with PlayStation exclusives. Can you imagine if Xbox decided we ain't gonna put stuff on PC anymore? We're just gonna put it on our console. That would bring a lot more people. Like they would have Bethesda and Activision rights, two of the biggest gaming companies in the world. It would put a lot more sales, but maybe they put it on PC because it just makes them more money. But as a console, there's no point. Go and get yourself a PS5. Push that tribalism aside, okay? No need for getting this Xbox The only cool thing is the rewards program. I think if you like complete quests from Game Pass, you actually get some rewards. So I have like 10,000 points and I can redeem a $10 Xbox gift card, which is gonna go towards a game that I get eventually. But that probably took almost like a year to get. So I'm not sure, but they do have a rewards program and I'm assuming PlayStation doesn't have that. So haha, haha. Take it in, PlayStation. That's right. Even though you got more exclusives and you got better games, take that. But yeah, even getting this for free, I kind of want to sell it and get a PlayStation, which is really sad. But, you know, what can you do? So if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and I'm out. Later.